My name is James Langley. I'm a Master Solutions Consultant with Hitachi Vantara Federal. Hitachi Vantara Federal is an end-to-end data solutions provider with expertise in hybrid cloud and IT infrastructure modernization. We've been in the government space for over 10 years, with solutions installed throughout the civilian sector, the DoD, and Intel communities. I'd like to thank you for taking the time to sit down with me and discuss overall federal IT transformation in the post-pandemic world. I'd like to highlight two key topics as we discuss our go-forward strategies in IT modernization. First, let's examine the role of hybrid cloud in federal IT modernization. And second, I'd like to talk to you about how smaller agencies can often act as the tip of the spear for federal IT innovation. It's impossible to discuss IT modernization without recognizing the events of the last year. Across government, agencies have had to scale their infrastructure and technology to meet the remote workforce demands that have been accelerated by the pandemic. In many cases, they must do so with stretched IT budgets and potentially prolonged project cycles. This has led to a shift in government IT trends and mindsets. With regard to our workforce, delivery of internal and external services and the rapid move to remote work has shifted IT infrastructure operating requirements almost overnight and flipped many government orthodoxies on their ear. So 2019, for instance, only 42% of the U.S. federal workforce was deemed eligible for telework. Now in 2020, the U.S. Army has seen a 400% increase in remote network capabilities. The U.S. Navy plans to double its remote workforce from 250 to 500,000, while the U.S. Air Force has taken steps to increase its network bandwidth by 130%. Outside of the DoD, I'm sure you've seen many of these remote transformations and transitions from an in-office scenario with an assumption that line of sight supervision is essential and that individuals must work at a government facility, towards recognizing that back office, and in some cases, even some intelligence capabilities, can be performed remotely. Overall, we've seen an acceptance and expansion of telecommuting, especially recognizing this need. And we recognize that many of the services we provide and consume from the federal government can be effectively delivered through a digital framework that often can create a more accessible and personalized experience. And we've naturally seen the pace of government change accelerate as it's been forced to react to the demands of the pandemic and the coming post-pandemic world. As we've shifted our population remote, we find ourselves looking at themes we've discussed over many years. Case in point, isn't public cloud the answer for our IT modernization efforts? While Cloud First mandated a broad modernization effort, it often became a litmus test that stalled modernization because it determined that only a single solution was capable of streamlining and modernizing government IT needs. As of May 2019, the Government Accountability Office determined that only 11% of federal IT systems were even running in the public cloud. Of that, civilian agencies had more than 6 times the amount of workloads running in the public cloud than the DoD, despite the Department of Defense accounting for over 60% of federal spending. It obviously led to the question, why was this occurring? An overall issue has been what I would call the data homing dilemma. Roughly 21% of public and private organizations have indicated that they have repatriated data and workloads back on premises. Why has this occurred? What are the key considerations that have driven this? Well, data sensitivity and classification, whether it's national security, privacy regulation and compliance, or the protection of trade secrets in public-private research initiatives, have driven a move from public cloud to private cloud. Ultimately, if your data is stored locally, you end up with a greater level of physical control, which is a paramount element of any security strategy. Application performance needs and low latency demand have also driven a move from public to private solutions. You can't change physics, right? Network latency is inherent in solutions that are outside of our agency's infrastructure. And high performance applications can drive a high cost. The public cloud is a utility model. The more you use, the more it costs. And high demand applications and workloads can create an intersection of cost and performance that is in direct conflict with your agency's budget. Lastly, resiliency. Public clouds are not immune to outages. Though increasingly rare, cloud outages can potentially last for days and impact thousands of customers, not only your agency, but others. In these cases, as a customer of the public cloud provider, you're at the mercy of them, where they must allocate resources and direct the remediation efforts, sometimes while your own service level agreements are suffering. On the other hand, with a local or private cloud workload, you have full control over the availability and performance of your application. Your in-house IT staff that are best suited to the workload's requirements can address and correct problems. In some cases, you can look at solutions where a workload may run concurrently, both in a public and a private cloud, to better provide performance and a measure of resilience that the public cloud alone cannot accommodate, thus the growth of the hybrid cloud. While Cloud first mandated this single solution, Cloud Smart requires that agencies take a risk-based approach to public cloud adoption as part of your modernization efforts. It recognizes that high performance requirements of certain workloads and data sets can't endure the latency, limiting the kind of cloud environment that can support them. Such critical high performance applications also compel a level of availability that the owning agency can predictably control. Overall, it's led to an understanding that there will be situations where a private or hybrid solution is required. Low latency and zero downtime applications, big data processing and analytics, and data that is especially sensitive given privacy, trade secret, or other national security concerns. For these situations, private cloud delivers flexible, automated, on-demand IT that remains completely within the agency's direct control. According to IDC, some 90% of organizations, both public and private, indicate that over half of their IT workloads and data are mission critical and must be maintained on premises. And for the greater number of these applications, a hybrid solution is both a functional and valid option. Ultimately, the public cloud is a utility, a tool in our modernization toolbox. But factors such as unprecedented data growth, with Forbes analyzing that 90% of the data that exists today has been created in the last 2 years, dependency on nonstop data delivery, and the need to repatriate data have driven growth in private and hybrid cloud solutions, which is not a bad thing, as it gives federal IT directors, managers, C-level staff, and their direct reports greater control resiliency, and flexibility. This drives home the need that agencies require partners committed to enterprise-class, on-premise infrastructure, edge computing, and a commitment to the hybrid cloud approach. Having examined the role and shift from cloud first to hybrid cloud scenarios, let's tackle another issue often facing federal IT modernization efforts. Is my agency too small to modernize? Well, let's tackle that and discuss how smaller agencies can turn their position into an opportunity to be the tip of the spear in government modernization. You have some unique opportunities for leadership. Adopting the mindset and perspective of a private sector disruptor can open the door to making change far more quickly than can larger, more bureaucratic peers who are subject to very detailed oversight and lengthy approval cycles. Think of the Ubers, Lyfts, and Airbnbs of the world. They disrupted the market because their size allowed them to be more agile than their competitors. Smaller agencies can take advantage of this same lack of institutional inertia to drive modernization. Smaller can mean streamlined approval chains compared to big agencies and organizations. And while agencies must continue to adhere to regulations, smaller agencies can be more agile than larger ones, thanks to this streamlined methodology. And this can mean taking lower risk opportunities for a little experimentation. Ultimately, a key factor is maximizing your existing resources. Asking yourself, how can we maximize what we have available? Smaller agency budgets often don't support funding for IT development, modernization, and enhancement, DME funds, as they're often called. Yet your need to modernize still exists. Assess your existing budgets and couple your priorities with your mission needs, and identify creative opportunities to use operations and maintenance, O&M funds, versus DME funds. Exercise the full potential of different colors of money. Industry has responded with promoting the as-a-service model, which enables smaller agencies to procure and benefit from leading-edge solutions, turning development and modernization spending into ongoing operating expenditures that allow you to modernize without such a significant investment. This enables you to leverage technology advances without having to bear the cost, time, and skill burdens of new development efforts. Additionally, you can focus on incremental upgrades, such as new software advances that incorporate automation of daily tasks. Applying these advances as upgrades to solutions already used in your technology stack will help you quickly benefit from technological innovations as part of your ongoing operations and maintenance budgets. Automating many capabilities will also streamline the learning curve for the next generation of government workers, many of whom are accustomed to adopting new technologies in their lives. When looking at how to modernize, execute incrementally and deliberately. Approach new ideas through pilot programs that can make changes far more manageable. Start by focusing on the benefits that a particular innovation can bring to an individual department. Identify that department's users, understand their main mission needs, and make incremental modernization efforts that improve their ability to meet them. Smaller agencies enjoy the advantage of needing fewer people to buy in. Take, for example, a scenario where the IT team at agriculture may pilot an innovative idea with the Farm Service Bureau. making notable improvements to those operations, leading to happy FSA customers. As word spreads across greater departments, more sub-agencies will see the possibilities and benefits to signing on for change. Ultimately, think critically. Innovation depends upon expanded thinking. One useful technique is to ask yourself, how do I deal with this in my personal life, and how can I do it here? Does it require me to spend 6 months in order to make a purchase online? No. If I need groceries, I order them from an approved vendor, my Amazons of the world, and it's delivered to me almost instantly. Keep in mind that no plan needs to be bulletproof. Focus on positive outcomes that are possible through innovation that will not only bring a beneficial impact to your users, but will also improve your IT organization's own operational efficiency. What's important is to think critically and objectively about how things can be done better, and avoid the mindset of "we've always done it this way" syndrome. Attending conferences, even virtual ones like this, are great ways to get an overview of industry and technology developments that can inspire creative energy. Additionally, look to scenarios where you can share services and combine resources. Shared services and joint purchasing arrangements offer additional paths to modernization. Smaller agencies have often struggled with the best way to procure new technology. But today, we have government-wide acquisition contracts, such as NASA's Solutions for Enterprise-Wide Procurement, or SEWP, that are available to streamline the acquisition of IT equipment and services from a pre-authorized list of resellers. Another option is to consider applying to the Technology Modernization Fund, where projects are reviewed by a board of government IT leaders and proven expertise in technology, transformation, and operations. Approved projects receive incremental funding outside of their traditional budget and technical expertise to ensure overall modernization success. In addition, consider combining forces with another agency that wants to make a specific change in its own IT modernization effort. Reach out to peers and identify opportunities to pool resources. Even if the same solution impacts both missions differently, there can still be benefits from sharing a common service, like multi-tenant data infrastructure, analytics platforms, cybersecurity monitoring, or on-premise file sync and share services. Consider government-private cloud solutions provided by organizations such as USDA's Digital Infrastructure Services Center and GSA's Quality Service Management Office. Ultimately, the goal is to do more with less. This doesn't mean losing the resources we need, but being more efficient with the resources we have. Modernizing IT while streamlining complexity challenges, not only for smaller agencies, but it benefits industry as well. We want to help. You're not alone. Even with limited DME budgets, there are many paths to effect positive change. A cultural shift can sometimes create, with some creative inspiration and tapping into the right governmental and industry resources, can propel smaller agencies to be innovation leaders that set a new bar for agencies across the federal government and beyond. In short, your IT modernization efforts should focus on building a foundation for modern mission infrastructure. Seek solutions that support any workload, that are flexible, that can right-size to your needs and service levels. Solutions that are focused on capabilities, not products. future-proof your investments, and find options that can grow with you to ultimately unlock the value of your mission data. With that, I'd like to again thank you for your time and hope that you found the information we've discussed helpful.